Hey there, I have a feeling that this video is going to be viewed by a lot of people who are not used to my channel or my stuff, so this is kind of out of the ordinary for me, but I wanted to talk about it really quick because it was something that I openly went through and discussed on my channel while it was happening, and now that we're through it, I want to make sort of an educational video because somebody gave me some really positive experience, a story of their experience with this, and I wanted to kind of do the same. So I'm passing on the positivity and the hope is essentially my goal of this video. So my dog was diagnosed with old dog vestibular disease, and I'd never heard of it before. It was the craziest thing ever. So one night, I'd actually been out of town. We got home and I took my dog for a walk just like normal, and he was so excited. In fact, I sent a text to the dog sitter and said, hey, was Caliber just like super crazy for you because he's gonna rip my arm off the leash? He's so excited, he's so happy. Nothing too far out of the ordinary, but also just a little spunkier than normal, but also not abnormal. So he was acting completely normal, better than normal if anything. Went to bed, everything was fine. The next morning, I went downstairs and I was like, hey kids, like, where's Caliber? Oh, he's sleeping in his bed. I'm like, that's weird. He always waits for me at the bottom of the stairs. He's not allowed to come upstairs, but he knows that rule unless he really wants something, and then he sneaks upstairs. But he typically stays downstairs, and he's downstairs in his bed, but not at the bottom of the stairs where he normally waits for me. So I went over to his bed and I was like, buddy, what's going on? And I could tell instantly that something wasn't right. His head was tilted a little bit. His eyes were kind of twitching. They were like really flickering. As somebody described, it's like watching a tennis match. I read that on one of the websites. It's like watching a tennis match where his eyes are just like back and forth, back and forth. And that's very much so what it was like. So his eyes were flickering. Like his head was tilted. And when he tried to stand up, he face planted. And the reason I know is because his bed downstairs, well, in our office downstairs, is right next to one of those mats that a chair can easily roll on. And you could see the wet spot from like where his face hit the mat instantly. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I sat there with him for a minute and I held him and I'm just like, what's going on, buddy? And honestly, in that moment, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's time. Like, he had a stroke, something happened. It's time. And I came upstairs and I told my boyfriend, and instantly he came downstairs and he was like, oh my gosh, like, you're right. What happened? And we figured it was a stroke. He said, well, let's give him the morning. So he was supposed to go to work, but he called in from work. Where was I? I don't think I had to go to work that day. I'm not sure I had meetings that day and I was like, I can't, or something. I don't exactly remember. This was a few months ago now. So anyways, we both stayed home, and about 12 or 1 o'clock rolls around and he's not better. He's not better at all. He ate a little bit. I made crepes for breakfast that morning, and he ate a few crepes with whipped cream. Yeah, he's old. He's almost 15. Like, if he wants crepes, he can have crepes. Whipped cream? Sure. Right out of the can. Go ahead, buddy. You can have your own can. Like, he's just, we're at that stage in his life. So, eventually I call the vet, and I tell the vet, I said, hi, like, I think it's time. Making that decision, I've had to do it twice before in my adult life, and it is the hardest decision to have to make. And I made the decision. We get in the car, I'm riding in the back with him and just like reliving all the moments. And I mean, it's easier to talk about now. And we get to the vet's office, and mind you, we have to carry him because he can't walk. So we've had to carry him outside. We've had to carry him to like readjust him. He hates being carried. He's also like 75 pounds, so he's not light. Anyways, carry him into the vet's office. They take us into the room. It actually was the room where his brother passed away. So it was very hard to be in that like space again. It had actually been a while since I'd been in there because my other dog was in a different room. Anyways, went in and they say, do you want the vet to check him out first? And I'm like, yeah, like, I think I do. I don't ever want to live with any doubt or question myself or ever have any, like, did I wait too long? Was it too soon? Just whatever. Thank goodness I did, because the vet comes in and she's like, let me check his temperature. Let me check his heart, which he hates the vet. He's hated the vet since he was a puppy. So I hated even like making him go through that. She lifts his head up. She's like, I don't think he had a stroke. I think he has old dog vestibular disease. I'm like, really? Like, what is that? She's like, it's basically everything he has here. We don't know what it's caused by. We don't know anything about it. It's like idiopathic disease. They know nothing about it. But it should go away in about 2 to 3 days. Like, wait a minute. Are you serious right now? Like, this is just gonna go away? Yeah. So day 1 rolls around really, really hard. Day 2 rolls around still really hard. Day 2, I think, was actually just a touch bit worse in the sense that, like, he peed like laying down. He didn't even want to try to stand up or keep his balance to pee, which he did the first day. He didn't do that the second day, which was very concerning for us. The third day, he did it again. But the morning of the 4th day, he wasn't better. And that was the time where I got this email from somebody who watched my videos and said, hey, my dog went through this. It was day like 4 or 5 when we started to see improvement. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, okay, so maybe the 3-day mark, because I had made a plan. We're like, okay, well, if he's not better by Tuesday, which was like 6 days, then it's time. Like, he can't live like this. He lives to go for his walks twice a day. That's what he lives for. So, like, if he's not getting what he lives for, like, this is not fair. This is not okay. So, oh gosh, that's such a hard thing to even say that, but it's just true, and it's the way I feel about it. So I saw that email and I'm like, okay, there's hope. And it was about the 4th day, maybe the end of the 4th day, that he was able to walk a little bit. So he was able to stand up. And I mean, on the 3rd day, he was like able to take like 2 steps, but then he would fall. But by the 4th day, he was able to actually walk from one bed to the other, which is basically the length of our downstairs. So, or like the length of our house side to side. So not a huge amount, but something. And he was also interested in going outside on his own. Eating, no, he didn't want to eat at all. So the crepes he ate, but then he didn't eat anything else, like for 4 or 5 days. Like, he didn't want anything to do with food at all whatsoever. I want to say maybe on like the 5th day, like the improvement. So once he reached the point of like improving, it was fast. And maybe on the 5th day, I took him for a short walk, which he tired out pretty quickly, and he was like still a little wobbly, but we're quite a ways out of going through this. And I would say that he, is completely back to normal. So some dogs retain the head tilt. He did not. That's gone. He is running again and playing and eating normal and drinking normal. He might, and it could be the weather, could not be the weather. I think he drinks a scotch bit more than he used to. But other than that, I mean, he is completely returned to himself. So there's hope. If you're going through this right now, there is hope that your pup will be better and do better and get better even after that 3-day mark. I mean, it's obviously a personal decision to wait to see how long, you guys can both live like that, what's fair, what isn't fair, but definitely, like, don't make any decisions before a week's mark just because. And I mean, it was hard. It was emotionally hard. It was physically hard. I am 5'2". I'm not a very big person. Luckily, I do work out because I was carrying him in and out. And again, he's awkward. He hates to be carried. He did a lot of panicking while I had him up, which actually strained my back a little bit at one point. That was in the vet's office. Thankfully, my boyfriend was there to like hold his head so that he couldn't like flip out of my arms. That was awful. But it was and the reason he wasn't carrying him is because, again, he hates to be carried, but he can tolerate it if I do it. Anybody else, then it's guaranteed panic. So, yeah, it was really trying. It was a really hard, a few days, but we bonded. I have a greater appreciation for him because he's an old man. He's, like I said, he's pushing 15. He'll be 15 at the end of the year. And it really just, I feel like he got, like, cat's 9 lives, like he got a second life. It's awesome. So anyways, I hope this video helped you in one way or another. Just have a little faith. Stay strong. All right, bye.